hope will not be the same. So it's a great pleasure to have Carolin with us today. So there are seminars. So Carolin is at the University of Hamburg, and we'll discuss about the research collaboration between University of Hamburg and the German Red Cross. Well, Carolin, up to you. As usual, we'll have the question at the end. So feel free to ask question either in the chat or turn on your video or your microphone, and we'll listen to your question as well for the people in the room. So that thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for this kind introduction. I hope I'm in the right angle now, and hello everybody. And thank you first of all for this invitation of be here and present today in person at the seminar series. My name is Carolin Saltzmann, and I'm here together with my supervisor who's joining us or who's present with us in the Zoom, Professor Dr. Silke Böhnig. We are both from the University of Hamburg. So before I start with the study I'm going to present to you today, let me quickly introduce who we are and what we are doing. So Professor Silke Böhnig is holding the chair of Management of Public, Private and Non-Profit Organizations at the University of Hamburg. Her research interests are not only blood donor management, but also general nonprofit management related topics. So nonprofit management and leadership, nonprofit marketing, and she's also doing research on refugees and transformative services. I'm a doctoral researcher in her team. I'm about to finish my thesis soon. I will defend it in April. And I was doing several studies on blood donor management, especially in the realm of relationship marketing. And both of us are members of the research cooperation health marketing with the German Red Cross blood donation services. In that cooperation, we are working on different topics related to blood donation management and marketing. So the German Red Cross blood donation services organize approximately 75% of the German blood collection. So we have a majority German Red Cross system in Germany. They rely on an unremunerated whole blood donor base. And the other 25% are catered for by other nonprofit organizations or public donation services, for example, if they are connected to a hospital. And then we also have some for-profit organizations connected to the pharma industry. They sometimes do pay, but in general, we have an unremunerated donation system in Germany. For plasma donation, the picture looks different. There, the German Red Cross blood donation services also do compensate for the donation with a small amount. We are in this cooperation, health marketing, together with the regional services Northeast and Baden-Württemberg-Hesse. On the slide there on the map, you see where these federal states are. So the people we are talking with are operating in these areas. I picked some publications here to show you what we did in the past, and as you might already have identified, there is also Professor Michel Clement on there, who had given his talk in November, I think it was. He's also part of this research cooperation together with his team. So yeah, we work on quite diverse topics in this cooperation, but all from a marketing and management angle. So today I'd like to talk about a study I did recently that investigates how whole blood donors can be converted, persuaded to start plasma donation. It is a study single authored by me, It is the last one of my PhD, and yeah, it's including an online experimental design. I'm going to explain that in detail, but let me first give you a short overview about the structure of my talk. I'm going to start with some background information and the study goals, and then I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the theoretical foundation of what I did. And then I'm going to explain the methods, data collection, design, and so on, describe the sample, and then dive into the results of what came out there. So I'm talking about blood plasma here, but to get a common understanding, first, blood plasma is a component of the human blood. It makes up about half of its total amount and is the carrier substance of the red blood cells. Besides its main component, water, it also contains different very important ingredients like hormones and proteins. Proteins, for example, in the case of antibodies, that helps in the fight of pathogens. And because of this very important ingredients, blood plasma is also used as a raw material in the manufacturing of medical products. And because the demand of these products is increasing, we also see an increase in the future demand for blood plasma. So blood donation services and also our partners are concerned with how do we meet this future demand for plasma, how do we reach self-sufficacy in this strategic, really important strategic resource. So the standard procedure of recruiting plasma donors is to persuade those who actually donate whole blood to start plasma donation. So talk to the active donors that are known to the blood donation service and try to transform them. That's what we talk about when I mean converting the whole blood to plasma donors. And this endeavor is not easy. It's quite difficult to transform people because the procedure of plasma donation is more complex. It takes longer. It requires the recirculation of some fluids to the body. So people are usually more reluctant to donate plasma than to donate whole blood. And that's why our partners from the blood donation services talk about what strategic options they have to finally reach a higher number of plasma donors. And what they tried in the past is that they focused on the blood group AB in their conversion efforts. This is a blood group which is in Germany held by approximately 5% of the population. And in the plasma context, it has a universal character. So blood from this people can be transfused to any other blood group or any other patient. So it is quite valuable in the plasma context. And besides that, in the whole blood donation context, these donors are most manageable to do without because as you see here in the picture, A, B are the bottom blood groups. So they can receive blood from a whole blood from many other blood groups, but they only can give to themselves. So that's why the blood donation services picked out these whole blood donors to be converted to whole blood to plasma donation. And what my study is trying to do is to investigate a marketing communication strategy which builds on this awareness of the special suitability of the blood group AB among the donors. And it tries to identify which mechanisms are underlying this phenomenon. Sorry, I need to. Okay. So what you see on this slide is the conceptualization of the mode of action of the mechanisms I assume here. Coming from nonprofit management literature, and nonprofit management literature, we have this one really prominent theory which assumed that there are 8 main mechanisms of charitable giving. It is the study of Beckers and Biebking, and their first mechanism, which they formulate mainly or coming from the monetary giving context, is the awareness of need. So the most fundamental prerequisite for giving is that people know that there is a need for their support. And if we transfer this to for the plasma context, we can say that awareness of need for this special kind of donation needs to be present with the donors. That need will then drive the intention to start plasma donation. And besides that, telling the donors about the blood group AB and that they might be especially suitable for this plasma donation refers to a second of these key mechanisms I was talking about of Beckers and Biebking, that is a perception of efficacy. Perception of efficacy refers to the perception of the donors that their contribution makes a substantial difference to the cause that they are supporting. So being aware that their blood has this universal character and might help even better than the blood of somebody else is referring to this mechanism, which then is also assumed to drive the intention to start plasma donation. What we also assume is that these 2 mechanisms work together. So in the case that people are aware of this need, they also the perception of efficacy is also having a stronger impact for intention to start plasma donation. Now I'm going to tell you what we did, or what I did in the cooperation with the German Red Cross to collect data for this study. So first of all, we identified in their database people with different criteria. So I wanted to start differently. I wanted to say, we did an online survey experiment with a 2x2 factorial design. It was pre-registered on the Open Science framework. And for that, we identified in the database about 12,000 people eligible for this study. They had to be whole blood donors in the age of 18 to 73 years in that 2 respective regions of our partners. They had to belong to blood group AB and living in close proximity to a plasma collection facility to really have this opportunity to donate plasma in reality. And they needed to be active. So we required 1 whole blood donation in the past 3 years, and that they never donated plasma before. We approached then everybody who had given their clearance to be approached for study purposes, which were 4,218, and they were invited by postal mail on behalf of the German Red Cross in October last year. And then, yeah, we had a response rate of only 12%, unfortunately, which further reduced after dropouts or people who didn't reach the important dependent variables. Final sample of 246 survey respondents who were then randomly assigned to 4 experimental groups. In these 4 groups, the 2 mechanisms, the 2 focal mechanisms I just explained, were manipulated with treatment material. So we showed them in the course of the survey different campaign information. In the group 1, with an extra snippet, an extra paragraph on this efficacy, on the special suitability of that group A/B. In group 2, we triggered this particular need for plasma donations. In group 3, we gave both information, and group 4 only received basic information material. This basic information material was also given to the other 3 groups. I'm going to show you how the material looked like just on the next slide. But yeah, to give you an overview about the further structure of the survey, you can see different building blocks here in the bottom. So we had a measure of intention to start plasma donation before we had given them any material to read. And then we showed the material. And then we had another measure of intention to donate plasma after that. So we have a pre-post-test measurement here. And then, because the study was anonymous, so we can't match that with the real donation data. So we wanted to have something like a behavioral proxy in there to look how, or to have another measure which goes a step further than intention. And for that, we included the question whether the people would like to be forwarded to the plasma donation website, to the appointment scheduling system of the blood donation services. And they could agree with yes or no. And what was also included was questions on the perception of efficacy and on the perceived awareness of need of plasma, which were these 2 concepts were both measured with different questions. And these scales, that's why I'm naming them here, it's quite important to understand, they served first of all as manipulation checks, so to see whether the treatment material had the intended effect. And second, they were also used in a model later to calculate the influence, the strength of the effects of these mechanisms on intention to donate plasma. So here you see the composition of the treatment material, which was made of different building blocks, as I said. There were some components which all the participants received, that is block 1, 2, and 5, with information about what plasma is, why should people donate this, and how the plasma donation worked. This material was created from real campaign material of the German Red Cross, and discussed also with marketing experts to meet their demands on actual marketing campaigns. And then we see here this extra paragraphs we added for the treatments in groups 1, 2, and 3. The awareness of need treatment contained information about that plasma is needed to meet the demands of the health system in the future. And for the efficacy treatment, we explained this special suitability of blood group AB and reminded the donors that they too belong to this blood group. So this on this slide, I'm sorry that you in the room can't see the headlines here all the time. I hope that you still can follow me. So on this slide, you see the sample characteristics. Here is the characteristic of gender on this slide, just to give you a feeling of who participated and if they matched the base population. So regarding gender, we have an about equal distribution of male and female, and we checked, here are the values for the overall sample, and then there for the different groups. Overall, we see that the randomization worked, so there is no no skewed distribution in the single groups. For the age groups, if you look at the overall sample there, this column, we have a distribution which matches approximately also the base population of the German Red Cross. We have a mean age here of 45 years. And there also we checked for randomization and it was successful. There was no skewness in the groups. One other characteristic we checked was the donation frequency in the past. And this is quite interesting. We see here that our participants were quite loyal when asked for their past donations. About half of the participants said that they donated more than 11 times in the future. So those who finally really took the survey are the loyal whole blood donors. And before this background, this last sample characteristic I'm going to show you is quite interesting because we asked the participants about what they know about plasma before we have showed them any information. And the answer options were, I've never heard of it, to I have a very good idea about it. And we can say that even from this loyal whole blood donors, 83%, about 83%, didn't really know a lot about plasma, didn't know what plasma is. But now I'm going to jump to my real results, and I would like to answer 3 questions for you. The first question is, did the marketing communication we showed the donors was able to really trigger this mechanism of awareness and awareness of need and perception of efficacy? Then I would like to answer the question, is this intention to donate plasma then also finally triggered, and do we see group differences? Did some of these strategies work better than the other? And finally, to what extent do these mechanisms now influence the intention? So do we see which influencing factor is having a stronger association with intention? Okay, so as I already said when I had on the slide about the procedure, we measured the perception of efficacy with several questions, and they were these questions were then combined to a summed score. The questions for efficacy were something like, I believe that my blood would be particularly suitable for plasma donation, or plasma donation is the optimal form of blood donation for me because of my blood group. all these questions were measured on a 7-point Likert scale, from does not apply at all to applies fully. What you see in the gray row here are the mean values that were obtained in the 4 different groups. And first of all, we see that the perception of efficacy was quite good, and we see that there is, and we see that the campaign material had the intended effect. So in the efficacy group and in the efficacy and awareness of need group, the mean values were significantly higher than in the control group. Here in blue, you see the mean difference to the control group, and these differences were significant. So the marketing communication telling the donors about the blood group AB had the intended effect of rising that perception. The same happened here for awareness of need. We measured that with questions like, I believe that plasma donation will become more important in the future, or plasma donations are not available in sufficient quantities, again on the 7-point Likert scale. In the gray, there are the mean values, and you see already here that we don't see a huge difference between the groups. So the awareness was quite high, with values ranging from 5.38 to 5.81, and looking at the mean differences, we see that there is no significant difference to the control group. That means that the manipulation of this didn't work as intended. How can we make sense of it? Yeah, well, maybe the reason is that already the basic information we gave the donors had this effect of raising the awareness of need, or the mere fact that the German Red Cross was approaching these people regarding this topic, which already raised the awareness of need for all groups equally. It is important to keep that in mind, that this manipulation didn't work when interpreting the further results of the experiment, which go on with this this result, which describes if the marketing communication that was shown really had the intended effect on intention to donate. Intention to donate was measured with the questions, I will intend to, I will try to, and I will give plasma in the next 6 months, once before the treatment. This is shown here, and once after the treatment. Overall, in the overall sample, looking at this value, we already see that the intention was quite low. As I already said in the introduction of my talk, we see that whole blood donors don't really intend to change just from this. Looking at the intention after, overall, we already see a slight increase to a mean value of 3.28, which is still not very good, measured on a 7-point Likert scale, again, from does not apply at all to applies fully. And what we unfortunately also didn't see, if we look at this intention after scale, mean values, we didn't see a significant difference between the groups. So we can't say that one campaign information worked better than the other, which we would have liked to see. But what we can see, because we have this pre and post test, when we look at the difference in intention before and after within every group, so comparing these two values, we see that in all 3 treatment groups, there is an increase in intention. So the result of this is marketing communication helped to increase the intention, but we can't say just from these results which information was outperforming the other. Here are the results for this behavioral proxy, which we also compared between the different groups. The question again, it was, would you like to be forwarded to the appointment scheduling system of the German Red Cross blood donation services for further information after completing the survey? And we see that approximately 1/3 of the respondents agreed to be forwarded, but there are again no differences between the single groups. And what we have to consider here, very important, is the social desirability bias. So people might have clicked on yes simply because of the fact that they were asked by the German Red Cross and that they are loyal and they want to do the favor and said, okay, I'm going to click here. Then we have the problem of the intention behavior gap, which means that in the further process, we will still lose much more people. So the interpretation here is much more needs to be done to actually probably really trigger the behavior of changing to the plasma donation. On this slide, you see now the results for the last question. The last question is, which are the most influencing factors, which factors are driving the intention more than others? And for that, I calculated a hierarchical regression model. That means that there are different independent variables, different factors that are influencing the dependent variable intention to start plasma donation. The factors that were included, you see here on the left side. So we have the mechanisms, perception of efficacy and awareness of need. There is this second purpose of the scales. Then we entered some control variables and the interaction in the last step. So the control variables, we have the perceived behavioral control, which means, or which was measured again with several questions, and is the concept of people feeling capable to donate, that they feel that they will overcome the obstacles they face to donate plasma and so on. And then we have the sociodemographics of gender and age, because that was found by previous studies that we have differences in the intention here. And we also included the frequency of past donation, because what we expected is that the longer the people donate whole blood, the less likely they are to switch, because they already have this identity of being whole blood donors. And I would like to draw your attention right to the red boxes here, to the controlled model, where we see the relative strengths of the associations between these factors and the dependent variable intention to start plasma donation. We see here that the perception of efficacy has a stronger influence than awareness of need, both with a significant strengths. And very interesting, and I didn't expect that upfront, the perceived behavioral control has, compared to these other two mechanisms, an even stronger association with intention to donate. So it is really important that a person feels capable of doing the donation to have an intention to start plasma donation. Yes, so I'd like to end my speech with some implications that these results have. First of all, I proved again that conversion is not an easy task. And I would like to be, or I'm interested in, if this is the case too here in the UK, maybe there are some practitioners in the Zoom who would like to give their opinion on that. In Germany, it is, we see it, it's not an easy task, and marketing communication works, surprise, surprise, but it is not easy to increase this intention. So it is not enough to have this one online marketing communication campaign, but it needs more, and it needs the commitment of the blood donation services to really invest and have this resources ready for an integrated marketing communication campaign with several contacts. This education about the blood groups and picking the donors of the blood group AB is a promising approach, because this emphasizing the relative and absolute contribution that a person has works and might trigger behavior. And we also see that more information again in general in the general public is necessary to create awareness about this topic, that there are different forms of donation first. And then the topic of perceived behavior control is very important to consider. More needs to be done to find out what the barriers are for this particular donors in that region, for example. What can be done to strengthen their feeling of being capable physically or psychologically, and to create better donation opportunities, or making them more visible to the public. Yeah, that's for me already. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm happy to discuss with you now the results, and whoever would like to be to get in contact afterwards, please connect on LinkedIn or email to me with this email address.